Just before Joe Biden got into the race, Obama tried to dissuade Joe Biden from running. He went further and talking with his campaign, Joe Biden's campaign, essentially saying, don't let Joe Biden embarrass himself. And not just don't let Joe Biden embarrass himself, don't let him screw with my legacy. Don't screw up my legacy. Elizabeth Warren has been breaking her back to ingratiate herself to the Democratic Party. It's fair to say that the independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, is not even considered a Democrat, despite him wearing the label of a Democrat, and him doing his own bit of step and fetch it in order to stay within the guidelines of the party structure of sorts. I hope that makes sense. I mean, Sanders is the candidate who is pushing for this notion of a political revolution and getting involved in this kind of activist president or activist politician of wanting to get numbers in order to affect his political agenda. But ultimately, he is running under the label of a Democrat. And there are certain things that he probably feels that he can't say or areas that he can't go without necessarily being ejected or at the very least losing. Not ejected, but losing. Warren is a different case, though. Warren is a Democrat. Warren did toe the line in 2016, be it Standing Rock or be it with supporting Clinton. And ultimately, even in this race, Clinton has come around in order to assist her in ingratiating herself to the party structure and establishment of the party. But her also interacted with these guys to get across that I'm a cuddler Sanders. I'm a capitalist, first and foremost, even though I may be a little bit a tick to the left of the party. There have been 22 people in this primary. 22 people. So many, in fact, that the Democratic Party has taken the step of, 20 debates. And within every 2 debates, making it that much more strict for the people to be in the race. Meaning the criteria for them to hop over gets more and more difficult the further they go along into the race. They're doing that because they have so many people in the race. Despite that, Democratic donors are edgy with the field. They're uncomfortable with the field. They don't like the Democratic field. And because they don't like the Democratic field, at a gathering in New York, donors were asking the question, is there anybody else? Now put this in perspective for the moment. 20 people on that stage. You have billionaires, you have socialists, you have progressive capitalists, you have a gay man, you have Kamala Harris, whatever she is, from the standpoint of politics, and you have somebody who's an anti-interventionalist. And they still look at this field and say, is there anybody else? And in saying, is there anybody else, open calls to various people to get into the race. Sherrod Brown says he's getting calls. Hillary Clinton is considering a run. And not just considering a run, she's looking at it and say, if I thought I could win, I would consider getting into the race. And is analyzing this race in the sense of looking, like, if there's a lane open for me, I'll go for it. That amazed me. I thought she was done. But she's essentially, look, if there's a lane, if Joe Biden, has a conniption fit on stage, I might jump into the race. That's amazing. They're all sorts. I mean, they're John Kerry. I mean, they are literally freaking out over the field and looking around for some other people. They're concerned that Warren can't beat Trump. I have the same concern, so I don't blame them. They're concerned that Buttigieg can't get anything more than whites because Buttigieg's black demographic in regards to his voting, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is just as much or less than Trump. They're concerned about the field. And they're looking for some other centrist candidate, a white knight, to swoop in and save them. That's amazing. I don't necessarily know even if they've completely accepted Warren, believe it or not, even though I think she's done her best to essentially show them that she's a safe bet in the sense of working with the party. Nevertheless, donors are still looking for more. Bloomberg was one of the other names that came up. And in fact, just to read a part of this, I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm not even going to flip over. I'm going to end it. Since the last debate, just anecdotally, I've had 6 5 or 6 people asked me, is there anybody else? Said Lee Daughtry, a longtime Democrat who's run 2 of the party's recent conventions, with doubts rising about the former Vice President Joe Biden's ability to finance a multi-state primary campaign. See, what's freaking them out about Biden is twofold. One, he can't raise any money. The reason Joe Biden can't raise any money is because Joe Biden is leaning on electability for an argument. I should say one reason. Well, 2, it's a mental thing. But electability doesn't get anybody to go and see you when you're out doing your campaign stumps. Electability doesn't get anybody to send you their hard-earned money. Electability is just, I think the guy could beat Trump. I'll vote for him if he's up. Their problem is Joe Biden is running out of cash. And if Joe Biden can't finance a campaign in the primaries, what does that mean for the general? They're freaked out. They're freaked out. So here's another part, and I'll leave it here. So right here, their impatience on finding Mr. and Mrs. Right among the current crop of candidates. There's more anxiety than ever, said Connie Schultz, the journalist who is married to Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, another Democrat who some in the party would like to see join the race. We're both getting the calls. I've been surprised by some who've called me. I can see it. I can feel it. I can hear it. Mitch Landrieu, the former New Orleans mayor, said of the unease in the party. He said he thinks Mr. Biden is the best position to defeat Trump, but called former vice president's fundraising a real concern. Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Bloomberg have both told people privately in recent weeks that if they thought they could win, they would consider entering the primary, but they were skeptical that there would be an opening, according to Democrats who have spoken with him. John Kerry, associates have wondered aloud about whether he would run and has found it hard to watch Mr. Biden's missteps, has been urged to get into the race. But he still thinks the former vice president, once his longtime colleague, was the best nominee. Eric Holder is I just find this is amazing. 22 people in the race, and the donors are still saying, is there anybody else? Here's the catch. Joe Biden versus Sanders versus Warren. Meaning the next 2 people after Joe Biden are not people that they would want to be in that position. And they would accept Warren in the same way that the civil rights era, they would accept Martin Luther King over Malcolm X. Malcolm X scared the shit out of him. Martin Luther King, between the two, was far more amicable, even though he was demanding change. Same thing. They would accept Warren if it was a Warren versus Sanders. For all intents and purposes, if they could choose and get their choice, it would be Biden. It would be Biden. For everything that Warren has been doing to try to ingratiate herself, they are still asking for more. And at this point, the current crop apparently has not been to their liking, and that they're literally trying to push people to get into the race. Meaning, it is possible. I would be shocked by it, but it is possible. I don't expect Kerry, because I think Kerry is not going to step on Biden's toes. But somebody who's not associated with Biden may enter the race. And if anything happens to Biden, where Biden has to fall out of the race, it's possible that one of these other people may get into the race in order to take his position. Meaning, if Biden leaves the race, Clinton may get into the race in order to represent that interest of the centrist position in the running. Like, share, subscribe. Shocking. Utterly, outright shocking. Brian Dorn, you're up super late. Yes, I am. If Clinton runs, have HA to brag, guard him. I know, right? Oh, God, he is going to be chest thumping like nobody's business. Yeah, he's going to be chest thumping. I can't, I don't know why she would do, why would you subject yourself to that? And honestly, if Clinton honestly believes that she can win, then she is more out of touch than even I thought. And I didn't think it was possible to be more out of touch than what I thought. Yeah, making concessions to these people is pointless. Yes. They're literally looking 22 people into the race, 20 of which are outright right-wingers. And then you have maybe 2. One calls himself a democratic socialist, and the other one is a tick to the left of the current party, at the very least what the party is comfortable with. I don't fully believe her, but at the very least I do think she's ticked to the left, especially on the issue of Wall Street. And they're like, yeah, we're not liking this. 22 people. Wow, that's amazing. Like, share, subscribe.